Big news, Ukraine is about to get a brand new air defense system, the Trident Mark II, a Swedish-built 40mm anti-aircraft gun that can shred drones, missiles, and even low-flying aircraft. Think of it as the battlefield's shotgun, fast, flexible, and very bad news if you're a Shahed drone. On September 18th, Forces News reported that Ukraine will receive the Trident Mark II as part of an $836 million Swedish support package. The package includes radar sensors, command systems, and specialized programmable ammunition to maximize Trident's effectiveness. And Sweden's defense minister, Paul Johnson, even teased that not everything in the package was disclosed. His exact words, quote, "The Russian army can expect Swedish-Ukrainian surprises." Ooh, I love surprises. Hey friends, Wes here, multi-branch veteran, law degree, and bad Russian speaker because mudro izuchat protivnika. And I just got notified that there are Russian spies in my area, possibly FSB, trying to get intel on Ukrainian weapon systems. If you see something, say something. Anyways, the Trident Mark II is BAE Systems' solution to a growing problem: how to defend against cheap drones and missiles without wasting million-dollar interceptors, which we've talked about before. Mounted on a truck chassis, it's mobile, remotely operated, and fills a gap between the high-end missile systems like NASAMS and smaller CUAS platforms. Its DNA comes straight from the Royal Navy's Type 31 frigates, which already used the same 40mm gun. BAE just adapted it for land warfare, strapped it to a vehicle, and gave Ukraine a system that can keep up with the front lines. Now here's the raw math. The Trident Mark II can fire 100 rounds without reloading. Each shell can be programmed mid-flight to explode at just the right point. Whether you're hitting a small quadcopter or a fast-moving cruise missile, the effective range is about 12 kilometers, though it depends on the target profile. Against a drone, you might get maximum reach. Against a maneuvering aircraft, the range tightens a little bit. Still, for a system this compact, 12 kilometers is nothing to sneeze at. Think about Ukraine's daily problem: Shahed drones at night, Caliber cruise missiles by morning, and the occasional Su-34 strike. The Trident Mark II is designed to meet all three threats head-on without burning through precious Patriot interceptors that cost $3 million to $4 million apiece. One of the most important add-ons is the external radar system. This turns the Trident from just a gun on a truck into an integrated air defense node. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with Ukraine's technicals, that is, pickup trucks with a 50 cal on the back, but this radar provides early warning, tracking, and fire control, giving the operators enough time to position and engage. So why does this matter? Because Russia has learned how to overwhelm defenses with mass launches. If 40 drones are inbound, the difference between spotting them at 40 kilometers instead of 10 can mean saving a city. The Trident's radar makes sure the gun is cued before the targets are right on top of it. Now, Ukraine's air defense is a patchwork quilt of Western and Soviet systems. Patriots, Iris-T, NASAMS, Gepards, S-300s, and even Polish OSA AKMS. Each has a role, but the challenge is coverage. You can't put a Patriot battery in every city. The Trident Mark II plugs the gaps. Mark my words, 2025 is the year that we see Ukraine put up its own Iron Dome and close the skies to Russian threats, because they are systematically plugging holes in their air defense. For the Trident's part, it's mobile, so it can be redeployed daily. It's relatively cheap compared to missile systems, and it provides volume fire, something Ukraine desperately needs when drone swarms come calling. Remember when Ukrainian crews pushed the old Polish OSA systems to ranges beyond what they were designed for and still managed to kill Russian aircraft? That's the mentality here. Squeeze every ounce of effectiveness out of the tools available. The Trident Mark II is tailor-made for that kind of ingenuity. But let's talk about the secret sauce, the programmable ammunition. Now, we've talked about the Rheinmetall Skynex programmable Ahead ammunition on this channel before. This is something somewhat similar. Now here's the part that turns the 40mm into something a lot smarter than a glorified paintball gun. The round itself does the thinking. Modern 40mm programmable shells use an electronic fuse you can set in milliseconds before firing. Think of it like sending a tiny instruction into the projectile that tells it when to blow up. That instruction can be time of flight settings or proximity profiles or a delayed penetration option. The gun's fire control computer calculates the shot, programs the fuse through a muzzle programming ring or an in-magazine interface, and then the round flies like any other shell until it executes the plan you gave it. Why does that matter? Well, because you don't need a direct hit to kill a drone. You set the round to airburst at the precise distance where the drone will be. The shell detonates, and a cloud of high-velocity fragments does the rest. Against tiny quadcopters or thin-skinned loitering munitions, that's an executioner's shortcut. You get lethal effects inside a cubic meter, instead of hoping a single bullet slams into a plastic motor housing. In practice, a pair of well-placed programmable bursts will cut through swarms where unguided tracers would look like a fireworks show with terrible aim. Programmability also brings adaptability. The same magazine can hold rounds configured for different tasks: an airburst pattern for UAVs, a point detonating mode for light vehicles or structural targets, and a delayed fuse that lets the projectile punch through a thin roof before popping. Operators can change modes on the fly via the integrated fire control suite. That's huge on a fluid battlefield where 1 minute you're shooting at incoming drones and the next you're suppressing a mortar team behind light cover. From a logistics and a cost standpoint, this is where the math gets delicious for defenders. Programmable 40mm shells cost a sliver of what a guided interceptor missile goes for. When your enemy's favorite tactic is sending piles of cheap drones to overload you, swapping a $500 ballpark programmable round for a $300,000 missile is not just sensible, it's strategic common sense. You preserve expensive interceptors for the true high-value threats, and you let the Trident eat the cheap stuff for breakfast. But, and yes, there's a but, this tech isn't magic. It depends on good sensors and precise fire control solutions. You need reliable range gating, target speed vectors, and a stable track to program the fuse correctly. That's why the Trident's external radar and integrated fire control matter. Without solid tracking data, programmable fuses can't be set to the correct time of flight, and the shell's performance drops off fast. In a jamming-heavy environment, that link between sensor and munition becomes the critical failure point. There are also tactical trade-offs to be honest about. Programmable airbursts are devastating against small, slow targets and useful versus subsonic cruise missiles, but they're not going to reliably stop a supersonic anti-ship missile on their own. Not because the ammunition is dumb, but because some threats outrun the engagement window. Also, you still have to manage collateral effects. Airbursts reduce the need to pepper the sky with bullets, but they throw fragments around, which matters if you're defending over a populated area or near friendly forces. Finally, the human element, using programmable ammo effectively requires training, discipline, and fire control integration. It's no good to hand a gunner a magazine of smart rounds and hope for the best. The whole system must be networked. Sensors cue the gun, the software preps the round, and the operator executes. When it works, it's a combat enhancer. When it doesn't, it's another expensive box on a truck. Okay, so here we are. The programmable 40mm turns the Trident from mobile autocannon into a flexible, cost-efficient interceptor for the messy middle of air defense. Cheap drones, loaded munitions, and the odd cruise missile that slip through the big nets. For Ukraine, and for any defenders tired of trading 5-figure drones for 6-figure missiles, that's not just clever, it's a changer of the game, if you will. It's a game changer is what I'm trying to say. What do you think, Vlad? Is it a game changer? He doesn't feel like talking today. I'm gonna get this puppy out to the range pretty soon. By the way, I didn't pay for that, just so everybody's aware. I would never put money towards something that my wife doesn't even want in the house. We have a friend who owns a printing company, and I gave him a high-resolution photo, and they printed it on cardboard. It's a whole thing. Okay, underneath all of this, Sweden has a message for Russia. This system doesn't just fill a tactical gap, it sends a political signal. Sweden has already committed over $68 million to coalition donations for Ukraine. And the Trident Mark II is a part of a larger $836 million package. That's serious money, especially for a country not traditionally known as a big arms exporter. And Sweden's defense minister made it clear, not everything is being publicly announced, so if the Trident is the part they're willing to show, imagine what's under the hood that they're keeping quiet about. Ooh, I can't wait. I've been writing about the Ukraine war for over 10 years, and I'm telling you, Sweden is quickly becoming the bleeding edge of military technology. So I can't wait to see what else they've given Ukraine. As soon as I find out, I'm going to let you know on this channel, so be sure to subscribe. So how is Russia going to react? Well, Russia's going to hate this system, not because it's the most advanced thing on the battlefield, it's not, but because it's efficient. It's exactly the kind of layered defense that makes drone and missile campaigns less effective. Russia has poured resources into Shahed drones precisely because they're cheap and can overwhelm defenses. Systems like Trident Mark II undermine that entire strategy. So when your $20,000 kamikaze drone keeps getting knocked out of the sky by a programmable 40mm shell from Sweden, you start running into cost-benefit problems. Ukraine's air defense is becoming less about flashy billion-dollar systems and more about smart, flexible tools that fill in the cracks. The Trident Mark II is one of those tools. It's mobile, it's deadly, and it gives Ukraine a new way to fight smarter against Russia's constant drone and missile harassment. And the fact that Sweden bundled it with a huge support package tells us that Ukraine's partners aren't just sending over charity weapons anymore. They are building a sustainable defense ecosystem with Ukraine as a partner. An ecosystem that mixes high-end systems with practical, efficient solutions. Okay, that's it for today, friends. When you subscribe, it tells YouTube's algorithm that sarcasm is still a viable weapon system, but also it sends a message to YouTube that you prefer human creators rather than AI slop. So consider subscribing, and as always, glory to Ukraine, glory to the heroes. Crimea is Ukraine. Trident, take one, here we go.